The Bermuda Triangle is a place where sailors and aviators are left to play endless games of hide and seek. But if you think this part of the ocean is mysterious, then you need to see other mysterious places on our planet. They are even more unique, strange, and scary. From an island that lures ships to their deaths, to a zone of silence located in the Mexican desert. Let's explore unusual places that are more mysterious than the triangle itself. Devil's Sea. Since the early 50s, the Bermuda Triangle has struck fear into the hearts of numerous sailors and air passengers. More than 50 ships and 20 aircraft have disappeared in this mysterious area in the Northwest Atlantic Ocean. People with a strong imagination believe that aliens or energy rays emanating from the sunken Atlantis are to blame for everything, but authoritative sources blame only errors in navigation and bad weather. In addition, this region has a high level of maritime and air traffic, and it is not surprising that such incidents occur relatively frequently. But although this can explain the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, there is an even more dangerous triangle that has puzzled maritime historians for many years. The Dragon Triangle in the Pacific Ocean south of Tokyo, where hundreds of ships have gone missing since the 40s. One book tells that in 1955, the Japanese government sent a large research vessel to investigate these disappearances, but it itself disappeared and was never seen again. Although the Dragon Triangle is often considered a supernatural location, it turns out that many of the missing ships were small and fragile fishing boats without radio systems. And the supposedly missing research vessel was actually sent to study a large underwater volcano in the area of the Dragon Triangle, and it sank for a known reason, due to a volcanic eruption in the year 52 and not 55, as the book says. But there is no doubt that this area, known as the Devil's Sea, is very dangerous. At the bottom there is an unusually large number of underwater volcanoes and methane deposits, which cause explosions and affect the buoyancy of ships, which is why they can sink. I think the aliens living in the Dragon's Triangle would like us to believe exactly the story while they are dragging away ships and laughing at us, pathetic people with their little boats. Better go and cry to your mommy in the Bermuda Triangle. Triangle, Nevada. Stretching over 64,000 square kilometers between Fresno and Las Vegas, the Nevada Triangle is the mountainous equivalent of the plane-swallowing Bermuda Triangle. Depending on the sources, it is reported that from 200 to 2,000 planes and helicopters flying over the area have disappeared in this place, and this is only in the last 60 years. Many of them were never found. One plane, which was later discovered, belonged to record holder aviator Steve Fawcett. In September 2007, Fawcett mysteriously disappeared somewhere in the Sierra Mountains, right in the heart of the Nevada Triangle. He was a very experienced pilot who became the first person to fly around the world solo non-stop in 2005, and flying into the Nevada Triangle would have been easy for him. It was never possible to find the photo or his plane, but a year later a tourist came across the pilot's document, and a few days later they found the crash site. Steve Fawcett never returned home, although plane crashes often occur due to human or systematic errors. Some explain the disappearance in the Nevada Triangle differently. According to the popular theory, the disappearance was caused by a UFO, since the famous Area 51 is located at the eastern end of the ominous triangle. It's definitely a strange coincidence that mountains and deserts are appropriate settings for a story like this. But there is a much more logical possible explanation for the riddle of the Nevada Triangle. In this region, difficult geographical atmospheric conditions and high peaks, combined with strong Pacific winds, create downdrafts that pull aircraft away. And since the Nevada Triangle is a vast, remote area with uneven terrain, it is not surprising that debris is not always found. Moreover, the maximum figure of 2,000 disappearances is apparently an exaggerated rumor without any evidence. But still, looking at these mountains in the desert, it's hard not to imagine that there is something otherworldly there, and if it really exists, then judging by the films about aliens, we better be careful with what we wish for. Silence Zone. For many years, the quiet zone or zone of silence has captured the imagination of people interested in the strange side of our planet. This 48-kilometer area in Mexico's Durango Desert allegedly has unexplained electromagnetic properties that rival the Bermuda Triangle. They say that compasses here rotate uncontrollably, and all modern communication devices are blocked, be it a telephone or an airplane radio. You might think that plane crashes often occur in this area, but no, more strange flying objects have been discovered here. In 1970, an American missile launched at a test site deviated from course 644 kilometers into a quiet zone. No one knows what happened to the missile and why it changed direction so much. But there is a version that it was pulled down by some local residents, who believe that such magnetic anomalies are caused by a large amount of the mineral magnetite in the surrounding rock. Some locals believe that such magnetic anomalies are caused by large amounts of the mineral magnetite in the surrounding rock or other magnetic materials left over from meteorites. Several meteorites actually fell in the quiet zone in the 20th century, and 2 of them hit the same place, almost 20 years apart. There are even more anomalies in the quiet zone, according to locals, including mutated organisms like a purple cactus, and it's hard not to think about aliens, but there are a few other important facts to consider. Several groups of scientists who were brave enough to visit the quiet zone did not personally report any problems with gadgets and compasses, and it is also claimed that that American rocket failed due to human error or malfunction. As for the mutated purple cactus, this is a real species and the puncture is large in the center and changes color in response to changes in the environment, such as cold weather and dehydration. But while there are logical explanations for the quiet zone, they are unlikely to quiet conspiracy theorists. And I would be lying if I said that I myself don't hope that there might be something more interesting there. Mekong River. At first glance, the Mekong River flowing through the Phon Phisai region of Thailand does not seem ordinary. But if you come to her at a certain time, you will see that she hides a secret that has intrigued residents and tourists for many years. See, at the end of October every year, lights the size of basketball balls and known as Naga fireballs fly out of the river. They rise hundreds of meters into the air and then disappear in the blink of an eye. Although they look a bit like firecrackers, their appearance is a real mystery. According to local legend, fireballs come from the breath of giant Naga snakes. These mythical creatures sleep in the murky depths of the river and awaken only at the end of October every year. It marks the end of the Buddhist fast with fiery breath. Since no one has seen them yet, some scientists suggest that these are bubbles of methane or phosphine generated by decomposition at the bottom of the river. When methane comes into contact with oxygen above the surface of the water, it can sometimes spontaneously ignite and then fly high into the air before suddenly burning. This natural explanation seems to be the most logical, but skeptics question why the lights appear at specific times of the year and consider it impossible for such frequent ignitions to occur. There is another argument: the suspiciously precise timing of the appearance of the Naga balls could mean that this is a hoax, using flare guns or special bullets to attract tourists. But some believe that the appearance and movement of fireballs does not fit any of these explanations. In general, if I ever find myself near the Mekong River, then I will take a gas mask from methane and the sword of Godric Gryffindor in case those Naga snakes finally show up. La Bamba. We saw a river shooting fire into the sky. What about a river where the water itself burns with deadly heat? Hidden in the depths of the Amazon tropics in the province of Puerto Inca. The Chunay Timpisca River, also known as La Bamba, flows in Peru. Temperatures in this 6-kilometer stretch of the Amazon range from 45 to 100 degrees Celsius. This heat can easily result in third-degree burns after 1 second of contact. The name translates as cooked by the heat of the sun, but the true source of heat of Chunay Timpisca is shrouded in mystery. Other boiling pools are located near volcanoes and are heated by magma systems like Chin's Spring, located at the magma point of Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. The bright orange color around this geyser is caused by heat-loving bacteria called thermophils. Combined with the contrasting blue of the hot water, it looks like a portal to another world that no pilot would dare fly through. But unlike Chin's Spring, La Bamba is not brightly colored and is not located in a magmatic zone. The closest volcano to Shanatimpishki is Karo, more than 600 kilometers away. There is a version that rainwater seeps very deep, further upstream where it is heated by rock at the very edge of the Earth's mantle, and then comes out through cracks and ends up in the Aldo River. The theory sounds similar, and I love thermal springs. I think it's better to admire this jacuzzi from afar. Triangle Bridge Ute. The 518 square kilometers between Abington, Freetown and Rehoboth in Massachusetts is the Bridge Ute Triangle. Yes, another triangle, the Bermuda Triangle, is associated with disappearances, but this strange zone, on the contrary, is associated with stories of creepy manifestations. Many people have reported seeing ghosts, unidentified flying objects, unnatural animals and humanoids, and ritual sacrifices here. And for decades, drivers driving along Highway 44 at night have encountered a mysterious figure on the side of the road. The description of this mysterious man is almost always the same: red flannel shirt, dirty jeans, boots, long red hair and beard. Drivers noticed him wandering along the road and offered to give him a lift. A mysterious red-haired man sat in the back seat and quietly looked at the driver with lifeless eyes. He did not speak, but sometimes laughed maniacally until the driver threatened to drop him off. Then the man suddenly disappeared into thin air before his eyes. Motorist. Although the stories about hitchhikers from Bridgewater are scary, probably the explanation for these phenomena can be even worse. During long trips at night, darkness and monotony induce a hypnotic state, approximately the same as before bedtime, and hallucinations begin. It's not entirely clear why so many drivers saw the same thing in the Bridge Ute Triangle. But if this is not a massive hoax, another possible answer may be that half-asleep drivers who have heard the legend of the red hitchhiker on Highway 44 may present it as some kind of self-hypnosis, based on what they expect to see. It has been scientifically proven that in the dark our brain tries to fill in visual gaps, and maybe this is not such an impossible explanation as we think. In any case, to comprehend the secrets of the Bridge Ute Triangle you need a little skepticism and regular breaks when driving for a long time. Hoia-Baciu Circle. In the region Transylvania, in the north of Romania, lies an unusual forest that will probably give you goosebumps because of the mysterious disappearances. The Hoia-Baciu forest is known among those who believe in the supernatural as the most haunted forest, and many paranormal things have happened here. According to one legend, a shepherd and his flock of 200 sheep disappeared without a trace while crossing the Hoia-Baciu and were never seen again. A 5-year-old girl also allegedly disappeared in this forest, but reappeared 5 years later in the same clothes, without having aged. Of course, whether these stories are real or not, no reports of the disappearance were found even in the Romanian newspaper archives. However, to this day, visitors to the forest constantly report sudden nausea, anxiety, and a feeling of being watched, symptoms that are intensified in the area of /U200B/U200B the ominous circular clearing, where the trees seem to refuse to grow. Scientists tested the soil there and found no chemical anomalies. Is it really possible that something otherworldly is happening in the forest? Despite the strange appearance of the clearing in the forests, it is a fairly common phenomenon, and it is usually caused by shallow bedrock that does not allow the roots to gain a foothold. And since many of the trees growing in Hoia-Baciu look like skeletons, it is not surprising that visitors now and then feel anxiety or fear. When walking, I'm still unlikely to choose Hoia-Baciu for my next hike. Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal in southern Siberia is not only the largest, deepest, and oldest freshwater lake, but also the most unusual. To begin with, official Russian media reported that in 1982, 7 Soviet naval divers were conducting scientists at a depth of 50 meters on Lake Baikal, and unexpectedly met a group of 3-meter-tall extraterrestrial humanoids. These strange figures allegedly wore silver wetsuits and spherical helmets. When divers tried to catch one in a net, the creatures somehow caused a powerful splash and the people were thrown towards the surface. Apart from official reports, there is no real evidence of this story, and none of the numerous underwater projects carried out on Lake Baikal have discovered anything similar to the mysterious figures in its depths. Although aquatic silvery aliens are a little hard to believe, there are other real anomalies on Lake Baikal. Every winter these shiny 15-meter bronze sculptures appear on the frozen surface of the lake, which is even more strange. On the western shore you can see these white discs that are frozen into the ice and seem to have risen from the depths. Looking at these mysterious formations, it's easy to decide that the lake has supernatural properties. But in fact, such turquoise blocks are ice hummocks that were pushed out by uneven pressure in the compacted ice below. But you must admit, I would like to put this beauty in the house, even if it quickly melts and soaks the carpet. And what are these disc-shaped bubbles? These are frozen pockets of methane released by a layer of swampy sediments at the bottom of the lake. So although the legends about Baikal have less basis than thin ice, the lake remains an amazing and unique miracle of nature even without aliens, and one cannot ignore the fact that the depth of this lake is more than 1.5 kilometers. It is very deep, so Lake Baikal will always evoke a feeling of some hidden frightening secret, because who knows what is hiding in these dark depths. Forgotten Pyramid. You've all probably heard about the Cheops Pyramid in Egypt, but did you know that there is an even more ancient and tall pyramid that is supposedly hiding in Indonesia? On the slopes of the Kuri Garden Mountain in West Java, crops are now being grown, but this mountain has a suspiciously pyramidal shape. Some people claim that a very ancient stone pyramid is hidden under the grass, and in it lies the treasure of a long-vanished civilization. While the Cheops Pyramid was built approximately 4,500 years ago, the rock of Mount Rattle Garden is carbon dated at 6,500 years old. How is it possible that such an early civilization with primitive stone tools could build a pyramid? In truth, apart from the man-made appearance, there is almost no evidence that the mountain was created by some brilliant ancient architects. Geologists suggest that Satakuri is a volcanic cinder cone that naturally acquired smooth slopes due to accumulations of hardened lava. Unfortunately, there is very little information about the mountain, because previous studies damaged the fields of local residents. Because of this they banned new excavations, so now the study of the mountain has been suspended. If I were a local resident, I would be curious to know what is down there, but the locals are not interested in this because they need to eat something and earn money somehow. Spotted Lake. In the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia, Canada lies a truly unique natural wonder. In summer, the water in the Spotted Lake dries up to reveal a hidden leopard pattern of hundreds of colorful pools. Most mysterious places are famous for their eerie properties, but this lake is often called the most magical place in Canada. It is considered a spiritually sacred place by the Anagan Indians, who believe that the lake has various healing properties. While I like this explanation, I wonder what it is actually like: a spotted lake, a salty, Enderhike lake, meaning its water does not flow into a river or stream. As in other cases, when rainwater and melted snow flow from the hills into the lake, minerals and salts fall into it and accumulate there for many centuries. Each summer, the water evaporates from the reservoir, leaving only trails of hardened salt between the mineral-rich pools. The different colors in them depend on different concentrations of minerals and can include calcium, sodium sulfate, and magnesium sulfate. Indian beliefs associated with the Spotted Lake make it mysterious, but the scientific explanation also makes it magical. Kazakhstan Pentagram. Thanks to satellite imagery, we can explore mysterious places without leaving home, but before you sit down to look up the Bermuda Triangle on Google Maps for the 100th time, take a look at something else. In 2009, they noticed a five-pointed star and a circle carved into the ground in a deserted corner of Kazakhstan, and the photo went viral. The diameter of the ominous pentagram is 366 meters and there is nothing nearby. The nearest city of Lysakovsk is 19 kilometers away. The inverted pentagram is widely known as a dark symbol and is associated with the occult sign of Baphomet used by satanic movements. Therefore, many decided that some local cult held its rituals here. However, Local media claim that this is just the outline of the lake park before independence. In the 91st year, Kazakhstan was part of the Soviet Union, in which stars decorated everything, especially buildings, flags and monuments. Paths in the form of a star were probably created during Soviet times, but in the end the park was abandoned after the collapse of the USSR. Although this pentagram-shaped park is probably not intended for rituals, I still find it too creepy for a nice picnic. Dared Blay. Stories about incidents in the Bermuda Triangle began in the 50s, the next place keeps secrets that happened 650 years ago. Surrounded. In the red sand dunes of the Namibia Science National Park in central Namibia, a dry and alien deadwood hides there. This drained area contains a frightening cemetery of blackened camel acacia trees that died approximately 650 years ago. But how could skeleton-like trees grow in such a wasteland? What magical power holds them? Although it may seem that some ancient curse holds the dried trees, the real answer lies in the geological history of the wasteland. 900 years ago the grandfather was flooded. When the Tsachap River began to flood due to heavy rains, the water nourished and stimulated the growth of camel acacias. But when the climate changed dramatically and the dunes began to cut off grandpa's water supply, the white clay and trees dried out and died. There was so little moisture here that the wood could not even rot. As a result, the trees are doomed to burn forever under the harsh desert sun. Perhaps it is worth wondering what these trees did in a past life to deserve such a real mystery. Quarry World. This huge gaping hole is located in the city of Mirny in eastern Russia. The Quarry World is a pit more than a kilometer wide and 200 meters wide and 518 m deep. Diamonds were mined in the quarry from 1957 to 2001. The strangest thing is the no-fly zone that was introduced in the airspace above the hole. But why? It turns out that the pit is somehow capable of sucking flying planes and helicopters into its frightening depths. How? In a deep pit, the earth heats the air inside. Due to the low density, hot air rises and cold air sinks. The large temperature difference between the air inside the pit and the air above the ground creates a lot of movement. The warm air that rises from the pit is less dense and gives less lift to the aircraft than the cold air outside the pit. Since the temperature changes suddenly, the plane can lose altitude and fall straight into the quarry. And although not a single aircraft has yet become a victim of this anomaly, if I were the pilots, I would rather risk flying over the Bermuda Triangle. Impossible Forest. In the Crooked Forest, located in the Polish Pomerage, there is an amazing grove of 400 crooked pines. They bend to the north directly above the ground, stretch sideways by 1 to 3 m and then grow normally upward. What's the catch? No one knows why this is so. There is a version that a strong wind due to a snowstorm bent the trees at an early stage of growth, but this does not explain why completely normal trees grow around the bent pines. According to another version, they were specially shaped to be used in furniture or for shipbuilding, but there is no information about this in any documents. And the tools or technologies with which this was achieved remain unknown for now. This strange grove remains unsolved, with theories about what could have bent the trees like that. Magnetic Island. 8 kilometers from Townsville in Australia there is a magnetic island, a beautiful place that has become famous due to unusual phenomena and strange miracles. Magnetic Island got its name in 1770, by British Captain James Cook, when the magnetic attraction emanating from the island began to affect his ship's compass. Although the inexplicably magnetic anomaly was never officially observed again, at least 20 shipwrecks can still be seen along the island's shores. Because of this marine cemetery, many have called the magnetic island Australia's Bermuda Triangle. Adding to the mystery are countless reports of a large marine animal similar to the Loch Ness Monster. The idea of Nessie attacking ships off a magnetic island while on holiday away from the Scottish hills is certainly interesting, but it turns out that a coastal cemetery is not so supernatural. Some ships sank due to strong cyclones, and some were deliberately sunk by people to stop the strong waves moving towards the island. And a creature similar to the Loch Ness Monster can be explained by floating branches and shipwrecks, or given that on the east coast of Australia there live a bizarre belt of fish, perhaps they were mistaken for some kind of supernatural cryptid which they resemble from afar. But even though the mystery of the magnetic island is just a myth, stories about it will always have a magnetic charm. Skinwalker Ranch. Nestled among the 512-acre grasslands of northeastern Utah is the Skinwalker Nightmare Ranch. Terry and Gwen Sherman purchased it in 1994 but were forced to leave the ranch 18 months later due to intense paranormal activity. They talked about many UFOs and heard voices speaking in unknown languages. Their cattle mysteriously disappeared or their entrails disappeared, as if removed by a surgeon. Terry Sherman even allegedly saw a wolf that was 3 times larger than normal with bright red eyes and was indestructible by bullets. People who believe in the supernatural believe that the mysterious creature was Skinwalker from the Indian legend, after whom the ranch was named. Moreover, local residents claim that demons, werewolves, terrorize the area around the ranch, due to a Navajo curse imposed in the mid-19th century. According to another unusual version, the ranch contains passages to other dimensions through which otherworldly creatures pass and wreak havoc in our reality. But skeptics suggest that all these terrible incidents were invented by the Shermans. No terrible anomalies occurred on the ranch 60 years before they bought it. And since then, very little reliable evidence has appeared. However, it is possible that these incidents may be a common delusion. Such a phenomenon of collective delusion has been recorded around the world at different times when hallucinations spread among isolated communities, almost like a psychological virus. This is very plausible. But perhaps the true explanation lies in something unproven, maybe even in unusual geology, as some believe, which causes various electromagnetic phenomena. In any case, you can only imagine how strange the conversations were at the ranch with all these oddities. Honey, did you see that alien ship over the cornfield? Honey, I must have been distracted. Bigfoot tried to steal our lawnmower. Which of these places surprised you the most, and do you know other mysterious places? Tell us in the comments under the video. Thanks for watching.